Hey, this is Dan with Dr. Burns Review, not a doctor. And today, I wanted to redo this video. I had this video done. I showed you kind of what we're going to do and a solution, but the solution was stupid. The solution was expensive, and I talked about the right way to do it, well, the cheaper way to do it, but never showed you. So, what we're going to do is completely submerge something. I had to find something that was not waterproof. Oh, that water is cold. And let's shake it up a little bit. Let's really get some water in there. And I'm going to show you today how to fix fully submerged electronics. It's as simple as that. We're going to go through now the inexpensive way. I've got some video on the expensive way to do it. Really, we're just going through, just trying your best to get everything back, because nobody wants to waste money. Nobody wants to just fully submerge something, and you could fix it for extremely inexpensive or expensive, depending on what you have for equipment. Real quick, as always, for crystal clear clarity and transparency, this video is not sponsored, not in communication with the manufacturer. I'm not being paid. This is my money, my rice, my equipment, my everything. I always love that, so you know that you're getting an honest review or whatever it may be. So electronics, they don't like water, obviously. And a lot of times we drive through deep water. This happened to be on the NT6. While I was recording, I, as always, drove it through some water I shouldn't have. And this thing does not like water. It really, really doesn't like water. But just because something is fully submerged and it doesn't work at 1 second, doesn't mean you can't take it back to life. So let's start right at the beginning. You drove through some water, something electronically isn't working. Hopefully it's not the receiver. The receiver can be very, very twitchy, and it can either remember whatever you were doing. So if you have it at half throttle, well, guess what? It might be stuck at half throttle. It can do a lot of weird things. Or if you have winches, it can suck the winches in. There's a lot of things it can do. So you just hope it's not that. Conformal coating, by the way, if you want to do something on your receiver, or just hope your receiver just turns off and everything's copacetic. But for everything else, it could be a motor and all of a sudden it starts getting twitchy. It could be this, where all of a sudden it doesn't make any sound. For whatever intents and purposes, whatever it may be, unplug the battery. Remove a power source right off the rip. No matter what it really is, remove the power source, because you don't know what's going to short. You don't know what could possibly happen. You don't know if you could cause damage to things down the line. Like for intents and purposes, let's say this thing shorts out, and then all of a sudden it shorts out my receiver. Well, there's another thing that's broken. Unplug the battery, take off a power source no matter what. Then, if you can, like let's say it's something like this, where you have external connectors on it, unplug that too as well. Take the product completely out. That way, if you do want to continue, like you know everything else is waterproof, and you want to continue, that way this is completely out. That's why I always leave this on Velcro so that I can take it back off, or I can take it off completely. If I know I'm just going through rivers, I'm taking it out completely before I even take off. Now we're going to talk about how do you fix it. The inexpensive, easiest way is a bag of rice. This bag is not full for a reason at this point. What I like to do is, now that this has been fully submerged, and I know it's not going to work, we're going to fully submerge it in a bag of rice. What I'm specifying specifically, because it's not only half full, it's because I want to put this in the bag and then fill it some more. Now keep in mind, you don't want thin rice like this. You want the thicker rice because it doesn't get in everything. This rice is so thin, it's gonna be, I'm probably gonna have to pry this open, take it apart, just to get the rice out. But I do wanna show you what we can do. Pretty well full. Give it a good shake. I leave a little at the top. You want, depending on what size the electronic is, for the bag size, it does make a difference. You want a bag that is big enough to hold the product, big enough to hold rice, with as little air as humanly possible. Why? Because the air is going to be it's going to be humid in that little bag. And it just gives you a better chance, all in all, to be able to dry out not only the electronic, but the air inside, because it's going to do that too as well. And really, genuinely, I don't think I could have got that any better. I mean, this thing is to the brim. It's got a lot of water in it. You want a lot of rice. This is the inexpensive way of doing it. Hydroscopic, it's going to pull all the water out of it. What you're essentially trying to do is get water completely out of this. I'm going to preface right now and say you really should take this thing apart. I'm going to try not to. It did not work previously. So I'm going to not try it again and see what our results are. This is a little more scientific, surprisingly, but I'm going to see what we can do as far as leaving it. You really should open it up. I would leave the plastics out and wipe them down, but the actual board and speakers or whatever it may be, that I would just put just fresh right in. Just raw. Don't even put the covers back on it, nothing like that. Put it in by itself. That just helps so aggressively, especially in a boxed product. So this is pretty well boxed off because the speakers go right up to the end of the box and the box is cut out for it. What happens, and I noticed immediately the last time I did this, is that the water and the moisture was just pooling inside that box. So as it was dehydrating everything on the outside of the box, it was just pooling the humidity, and it looked like a window after it rains on your car where you have all that humidity and you have all those water droplets. It's exactly like that on the inside of the box. So take apart whatever it is if you can. Or at least find a way to make sure that you can get inside. I'm gonna put this outside, I'm gonna dump the water, and I wanna dig a little bit deeper into how you can do this. I wanted to show you first, and then I wanted to talk about it. So let me do that real quick. All right, now that I get outside, I wanna tell you about something that you don't need to do, and I didn't wanna show you, purposely just so that it doesn't get confused as something you should do. I did it on this test, I did it on this test off camera, but I did do it. Plugging in and testing it. Do not do that until that is your last step. I purposely didn't show you because I don't want people to watch the video and all of a sudden go, oh, I need to test. No, don't test it. You're in the same boat as shorting it and things like that. So again, you already know it's not working. Wait until you're the very last step. And again, I would try everything first as far as drying it out, different ways you can do it, and then go. So let's talk about all the different ways off the top of my head I can think you could do this. Yes, you could use a heat gun, but I would really use a blow dryer. Be very careful with the heat gun. It's so easy to melt things. Blow dryer would work really well. Any kind of food dehydrator, even the really cheap and expensive ones, the ones that are meant to just pull hydration out, that's great. Absolute bare bones basic, you could just stick it in the sun. You gotta be careful with that one though, because if it's a really humid day, you're really not doing it justice. Yes, the heat will evaporate a lot of the water there, but you're working harder versus putting it in a bag. But absolute cheapest, stick it in the sun and pray it's not the wintertime. Simple as that. Put it somewhere where maybe it's near a heater or something. Put it somewhere where it's not gonna get too hot, but will work. Keep in mind with the sun, you don't wanna put like an LCD screen or anything with really a screening. Don't put it pointing at the sun, ever. I have made that mistake. I've almost ruined a Spectrum remote. It was completely clear. It didn't have the little black, it's the old calculator style. It's the little black dots. Most of the black dots were completely gone. So you gotta be really careful about that. Make sure it's pointed down or away or just somewhere where it's not in direct sunlight. At the same time too, if you're in an extremely hot place, make sure that if you put it in a bag or a box or whatever it is, make sure inside that box stays at somewhat of a good temperature. You do not want it to overheat and then start melting things and things like that because you're in direct sunlight. And once you put it in a closure, it's almost like putting it in a car. Yes, glass is different and it can heat up the inside of a car a little bit better, but still, just food for thought. Just be careful. So you got rice, you got all these different things. Let's talk into the things where you got to really spend quite a bit of money. The food dehydrator is one of them. Blow dryer, those things are expensive and inexpensive. If you're into 3D printing, then you probably have the best luck of anybody, like I did, where this has silica gels in it. It heats up. Its main job is to take water out of plastic. It is probably one of the best ways to do it. You could use an air fryer, but I don't like doing that because yes, it can do a temperature, but it's really meant to range between a temperature. So you gotta be a little careful as far as that goes. And really, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's forced hot air. So if for whatever reason, it starts to melt the plastic or anything starts to what they call glass transition, where it gets soft, well, that air is gonna push it around. It's gonna ruin it. It's never gonna be the same shape again. So I wouldn't do that. You do what you want, but I wouldn't do that. I've never had any luck with that. And same with oven. You gotta be really careful with oven too. Ovens were kind of an old school cheat for your graphics card if you had a solder joint that would crack or you knew you started having errors and it was a card you didn't care about. You used to be able to take just the board itself, slap it in an oven, turn the oven on, and it would heat everything. And it was a last minute resort. Ruin the board, change the color, but sometimes you get like an error 43 code back. Ask me how I know, but you shouldn't do that. Same exact concept. You just shouldn't do that either. The other hard part about this is that something like this, where it's a speaker, where it's that felt-ish rubber material, you gotta remember too that you're constantly getting it wet and then you're drying it. Over time, eventually it's gonna get more and more brittle. So think of that too as well on how quickly you wanna do it, or if you just wanna let it sit in the sun and just do it naturally, and maybe it'll take a day or two. All different ways to do it. I'm just kind of giving you ideas because really this video is for you to try it and try to get what you can back. Because we all know crap happens. I mean, mine was more purposeful, but still, it's just to see if you can try it and try to get it back so you don't have to waste money going and buying whatever it may be. But I can't emphasize enough of taking the product apart. Like that I left enclosed, and I really shouldn't have. When I did it, what finally broke the camel's back on getting this thing to actually work was taking it fully apart, taking all the equipment and putting it inside. So the board and the two speakers, just slapping it all inside this, and that worked completely different because moisture can stay inside that box. The box isn't fully enclosed, but it's enclosed enough where the moisture can sit on the inside of the box instead of being fully dehydrated. Time frame. This took 7 hours. 1 hour at medium, 1 hour at high, 2 hours at high, 3 hours at high, and that finally did it. Now, in between the 2 hour and the 3 hour at high, I completely took it apart. Because before then, as soon as I opened it, I saw the moisture, and I was like, okay, this isn't working. As soon as I took it all apart, I could wipe down the plastics, shove it in here for 3 hours. This took 7. Outside, or in just a regular bag of rice, heat does shorten the time slightly, depending on where you live and that kind of thing, but depending on how hot it is, it's going to take a while. That's why I was kind of avoiding this part, but I was able to move this video to Friday so I had more time to do this specifically because I didn't want to just show you an expensive way. I wanted to show you an inexpensive way, but that's going to take a day or two. I guarantee it. I can already feel it. One, because of how much I submerged it. I submerged it much worse than just a simple dip in and it shorted it out kind of thing. Now that thing's going to be in there for days. Is what it is. I'm going to do all the research I can. This is going to be a little bit more scientific, which is kind of sick. But days. Just expect days, especially if you just leave it on the counter. If it's something not important, like this, what we're doing now with like a speaker where I can still run my vehicle, throw it in there, send it for days and days and days and days. And again, remember, just because you left it for 8 hours, you shouldn't just go plug it in and see. You really should tear it down if you can, if you haven't already, or just look it down really good. Because again, I wouldn't have known the moisture on the inside. I could see moisture in the little holes on the outside, the speaker holes, but I would have never known how much moisture was on the inside of that box. How do you solve this completely? Well, this would be or I should say, how do you prevent this? Conformal coating. Conformal coating is a special coating that you have to make sure that the board is absolutely perfectly dry. It's best when brand new. And it's just a coating that you put over a board, an electronic board, and it just makes it waterproof. That's it. It's kind of like a clear coat almost, sort of, but it's just, all it is just a heavy duty coating that goes on it, and that way it makes it waterproof. That seems to be the absolute best way to do it. And not driving in water, obviously. But if you need to have it in water or something like that, conformal coating is amazing. It is expensive. You will find that little bottle is expensive, but you will also find that that bottle will get you pretty far, especially because our boards are only, inch by inch or 2 inches by 1 inch on a receiver. We're going to wait this out. I've already got all the video done on this, so bear with me on this. I lose my voice halfway through it. That's why I'm not talking very loudly right now. I don't want to lose it again. We're going to wait on that. I'm going to give it probably 12 hours and we'll give it another shot. Because worst case, if I short something out, that's fine. This is at least show you what you can and can't do anyway. But I'm probably going to wait 12 hours on that. Let me show you. That's a good sign. Nope. We'll give it a shot. I'm not going home until it's fixed, okay? We're not done until it's fixed. So I don't care if I gotta do this 1,000 times, we're getting this. So let me go do this, let me do that, let me do this, and what was the end result after everything? Because there were some hiccups along the road here. One, I gotta do a video about where ESS Dual on their power and their ground where it attaches to the board is so dangerously close, it's not even funny. I actually had to fix it on this one, so that's a whole nother thing. But was rice able to work? Well, Sure was. So the rice worked. It was complicated though. Sat outside for 8 hours, started to rain, brought it back inside, let it sit for 24 hours, dumped the bag, and then brought it over. Now this was all still sealed. Brought over, went to test it. That's when we had the issue of the two being too close together. Took it apart, dried the inside, and just slapped it all back together, and we were good to go. So yes, you can take it back from rice. You can use a food dehydrator, a 3D dehydrator. You can do so many different things. Or if you're in a warm climate, just go stick it out in the sun on something that's nice and soft or solid and allow it to heat up too. Just be careful. You just don't want to put too much heat to it. Easily fixable for a lot of different things. Sometimes you can bring it back to life. Other things you might not be able to, but I at least wanted to give you an idea and at least show you that yes, you have the ability to possibly bring it back as long as you get a little bit of time, and as long as, at an even worst case, you got a Ziploc bag and some rice. What type of rice doesn't really matter. I got the thin stuff and I wouldn't use that again. I would want the thick stuff. It just gets in everything. That'll do it. Just wanted something quick and easy, and hopefully it helps people, even if it's a year down the road. I just hope this video can help some people. 7 hours in dehydrator, day and a half with rice. Either way, you can probably bring it back. So thank you for watching. If you're filming the last one, thank you even more. Good night.